A very good evening to you and welcome to RTV News with me, Fiona Mbabazi. Now, with the service sector accounting for close to half of Rwanda's GDP, economic experts are warning that poor service delivery could spell disaster for the country's economy if it is not checked. Serge Nori kicks off tonight's edition with that story.
The Rwanda Governance Scorecard has on numerous occasions highlighted that the country's service sector, be it among private or public institutions, is far from efficient, and an example would be the more than 2,000 local residents in the districts of Rulindo, Burera and Gicumbi, who have for the last 8 years been complaining that they have still not been compensated for their property that was damaged when a major electrical grid was set up. The civil society points out that such failures affect governance scores as a whole, while economic experts insist that with the service sector accounting for close to half of Rwanda's GDP, the long-term economic consequences can be substantial if nothing is done. The country's leadership has on numerous occasions pointed out that proper service delivery is essential and there can be no excuse when people fail to fulfill it. There are things that just hinder other processes, with people claiming technical procedures that must be used and caution observed. Well, being careful does not mean doing nothing, nor does it mean progressing at a snail's pace. Sometimes people make interpretations of the law or other regulations with the result being that things are not done, when such interpretations are meant to facilitate you to do your work properly and also quickly. The first thing a leader or anyone else who wants to solve a problem should be doing is finding how that issue can be properly addressed and fast. You should also understand that it is possible, instead of trying to find ways for that thing not to be done. According to the Rwanda Governance Scorecard, satisfaction rates on service delivery fell from 74% in 2018 to 70% in 2019, with the objective being to raise that figure to 90% by 2024.
Western Province taxpayers have been lauded for their contribution to the 2019-2020 tax revenue, with tax revenue in the province increasing by 3.7% compared to the tax collected for the year 2018-2019. Now, Hamadi Habibu, owner of Bulagiri of Gisenyi, took the Rubavu District Taxpayer Award. He points out that they already understand the importance of taxes in conducting public development activities, which is why they strive to be tax efficient and declare the taxes on time while participating in the issuance of tax returns through the EBM technology. It is a common sentiment among their counterparts who are among the 7 who have excelled in taxation in the areas where they work, saying they will never be reluctant to contribute to the country's economic development. Now, while Western Province taxpayers are praised for their understanding of the taxation, Pascal Bizimana Ruganinwari, who is the Commissioner General of the Rwanda Revenue Authority, condemned those who have a bad habit of smuggling. The Western Province Governor Munyenwari Alphonse said that they will not only continue to arrest smugglers but also educate them so that people can understand the right way to move forward. At the Western Province level, the National Revenue and Customs Administration in the fiscal year 2019-2020 raised 27.9 billion Rwandan francs in domestic tax revenue. The target was 30.2 billion, which is equivalent to 92.6%. Of course, this was affected due to COVID-19 pandemic. To Health Matters now, research by RBC has showcased that stigma against HIV/AIDS patients has reduced by 80%. Patients say that the government policies played a huge role in this.
Getting HIV/AIDS is not a problem or a crime. Being born with HIV/AIDS did not stop this girl from growing and progressing well over the years. Today, she prepares to go to the university. According to her, the government played a huge role over the years to ensure that there is little or no stigmatization. I want to be a doctor and I will work hard. I am working towards having an HIV-free family. There is no stigma. Rwanda Network of People Living with HIV, RRP Plus spokesperson Muneza Sylvia echoes that stigma has reduced greatly over the years.
namenye ko mfite virusi itera sida muri 1998.
I knew of my status in 1998. There was high stigmatization back then from neighbors and family. The government did everything to sensitize people on this, even at the village level. Dr. Innocent Turate, the head of HIV and other infectious diseases control department at Rwanda Biomedical Center, explains that good services helped in reducing the stigma.
We
sensitize people a lot and also ensured that they have good medicine so that everyone got medicine, and this gave people hope, which in return reduced the rate of stigmatization in the country. A study released by the Rwanda Biomedical Center RBC on Tuesday found that HIV infection in Rwanda is at 3%. Of these, 3.6% are women and 2.2% are men. In rural areas, the rate of HIV is at 2.5% and in the city at 4.8%. From October 2019 to June 2020, the rate of stigma for people living with HIV has decreased by 80%. Rwanda is one of the few countries that have achieved the goal of the United Nations Office on HIV/AIDS by 2020, where at least 83.8% of the population between the ages of 15 and 64 are aware of their status.
With that, of course, I'm now joined by Saj Sebafara, who is the Executive Secretary of the Rwanda Network of People Living with HIV in the country, to help us talk more on this. Thank you very much, Saj, for making time to be with us. Saj, if you can hear me, good evening to you.
Yes, good evening.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, how has stigma been an issue over the years, and how has it changed?
Yeah, thank you very much. After 10 years, the first stigma and discrimination survey is conducted in Rwanda, and which has shown a high level of stigma related to HIV in Rwanda. Different interventions and activities have been carried out regarding the response to HIV, and particularly against HIV-related stigma and discrimination issues. If maybe I can do a comparison of 2020 stigma index 2009, it shows that the decrease of 80% of stigma and discrimination experienced, especially in physical harassment and discriminatory gossip and excision from religious activities. Now we can see decrease of stigma in religious activities, social gatherings. We can see a considerable decrease of stigma, and also stigma within the family's activities, and also a decrease of more than 50% regarding people living with HIV rights abuse, forcing, for example, people to be tested either for insurance, health care, and visa, and so on. So Rwanda has made a huge achievement in regards to stigma and discrimination reduction.
What are the other challenges that the people living with HIV are facing today in the day-to-day lives?
Yeah, despite the decrease of stigma and discrimination in the country, however, there is still a stigma and there is still work to do. For example, the stigma and discrimination is very low in Rwanda, is 13%. As per the dissemination of the study today. However, human rights and effective change component and needs improvement, and also knowledge of people living with HIV of their rights, and also to know about laws and policies that protect them was still low, and the fear also of people living with HIV to disclose their HIV status to others was still prevalent, and also we can see at the key and vulnerable population, there is still a risk of facing double stigma. For example, those who are doing sex, men who are do sex with men, they are still facing stigma and discrimination. And also women and students, they are still facing stigma and discrimination. Young women also are still facing stigma and discrimination in the community. So there is still a journey, and we believe that working together, this can be reduced, and Rwanda can be ranked in a very good country fighting stigma and discrimination.
Center that supports the patient that someone can call in through the toll-free line. How does this work?
Yeah, during the COVID-19 lockdown period, since March, where we knew about the first case of COVID-19 in Rwanda, the Rwanda Network of People Living with HIV has initiated a toll-free, which is 2014-45. Sorry. This toll-free is free of charge for the community callers, whereby people living with HIV and the general population can call and give their feedback on the quality of HIV services received at the health facility. So as you may know, during the lockdown period, there was limited movement, and people living with HIV and other patients could not easier get their health facilities. So this toll-free was being very helpful to the community, because we started to do home-based medicines delivery. So people could call and request the home delivery services. And the toll-free helped us also to do the community monitoring on HIV services.
Lastly, before
still now, this toll-free is still operating, and it's still helping people.
Absolutely. Lastly, before I let you go, how's the treatment then improved over the years? Because I know over the years there's always been a problem, people wanting to have only one pill, others preferring probably injections if there's any. How's the treatment improved?
Yeah, as you may know, during the past years, the service was not decentralized. For example, in 2009, most of the patients were followed at the district hospitals, but now, today, in 2020, all HIV services are delivered at a decentralized level. Each sector in the country has a health center where also people living with HIV can access their treatment easily, and also it was being very successful during the lockdown, because RBC revised the guideline on HIV management, where people living with HIV could access the treatment at the nearest health facility. So we are happy that the service delivery is at nearest health facilities, and also the program has very much improved in terms of the quality of service delivery. So we believe that if we are going for 2030 to end AIDS, Rwanda is at a good rank to be close to the 2030, and even why not getting zero stigma and discrimination, and all 100% people in treatment by even before 2030.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Serge Semaphore, of course, for making time to be with us and helping us understand more on what's happening on ground.
Thank you very much.
Now, more to other stories. More than 240 pigs have died in the last 2 weeks as a result of disease. Farmers in the districts of Rwanda, Kichukiro and Gasabo say they are yet to identify. Now, experts at the Rwanda Agricultural Board insist, however, that this is not a pandemic, rather than a regular disease that can kill pigs if they are not treated on time.
Françoise Izerimana, a farmer in Gatsibo district, lost 8 of her 10 pigs to the strange illness in just 2 days and is convinced it is some sort of unknown epidemic, and her worries are shared by other farmers in the affected districts. It is nicknamed Rouge, meaning red, because of the way the pigs get a fever before failing to eat, quickly losing strength and dying afterwards. Though Françoise insists her pigs were well cleaned and so were their style, local vets argue otherwise.
It
is spread by lack of hygiene, depending on how people keep their pigs, and even after they notice that one of them is sick, they fail to isolate it and let it remain in the style with the rest, which is a mistake. The bacteria causes the animal to get so weak it cannot eat. Some even start vomiting, and by the 3rd day cannot even get up. We are treating them with penicillin and seeing improvement. On the 7th of this month of November, the Rwanda Agriculture Board issued a warning that pigs in the districts of Rwamagana, Gasabo and Chichichiro were being struck down by an illness that quickly killed, caused by unsanitary conditions in their stalls, and that farmers should stop trying to treat the pigs themselves and call qualified veterinarians instead. The affected districts have not had their pigs quarantined, but a farmer trying to sell them must first have them tested. I would not call this an epidemic because it is a regular disease. We have noticed that many farmers are trying to treat the pigs themselves and end up using the wrong medicine, only to call the vets after many pigs have become infected. People should avoid going from farm to farm because when they do without the proper gear and properly washing their hands and boots, they end up spreading the bacteria to even more pigs. Farmers should also seek the help of the local vets because this is an illness that has the proper medicine for it and it is treated. 244 pigs have so far died in the 3 districts in just 2 weeks, and RAB is urging farmers to take out insurance policies for their animals because those who had none and lost them were not compensated.
We now bring you the COVID update status in the country. Total cases so far 5,262 with 20 new cases recorded today. Number of recoveries recorded today is 0. This is from the past, which is 4,967 with 0 recoveries today. Active cases 255. Tests that have been conducted so far 574,876 with 2,974 new tests that were conducted today. Now, unfortunately, we have new cases of death. We have 2 new deaths, bringing the number of those that have died with COVID-19 in the country to 40. The test positivity rate is at 0.7%. Now, for the 20 total cases that were recorded today, we have 13 from Kigali, testing in high-risk groups. We have 3 from Muhanga district, 1 from Nyanza district, Rubavu 2, and Rwamagana 1 district. Of course, condolences to the families of the 2 men aged 45 and 50 who passed away in Rwamagana district. On behalf of the entire news team that made this news possible, thank you very much for being part of us. My name is Fiona Mbalazi. Have yourselves a lovely evening and a good night, and do remember that COVID is real and it's still there, so please wear your masks correctly, wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water, maintain the social distance, and together let's flatten the cover.